Live. What's happening around the world and what's happening here at home? A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandaru Ferdinando.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. We start off by taking a look at your headlines for tonight. Sri Lanka remembers the devastating tsunami of 2004. Events held in many places to remember those who lost their lives. 57 of the 77 tsunami warning towers down. Today marks Unduap Full Moon Poya Day and the start of the Sri Pada pilgrimage season. CID records statement from former Health Minister Keheli Rambukwala at his residence over the human immunoglobulin transaction. Criminals operating drug records and underworld activity from overseas will be arrested, says Minister of Public Security. Will a group of SLPP MPs join the opposition?
පොදුජන පෙරමුණේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු යම්කිසි ප්‍රමාණයක් විපක්ෂයේ ඉඳ ගන්නවා කියලා අපිට දැනගන්න ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. එහෙම වුණොත් ආණ්ඩුවේ බහුතරය නැති වෙයි.
First up in news here at home, former Minister of Health Keheli Rambukwala recorded a statement with the Criminal Investigation Department today regarding the controversial human immunoglobulin transaction.
The Criminal Investigations Division said that the former Minister of Health, Keheli Rambukwala, recorded a statement for 7.5 hours. The statement was recorded from the Minister at his residence from 9 a.m. to 4:15 p.m.
Remember that this was not an interrogation conducted on the minister because he is a suspect or accused. The minister made this complaint and he recorded a statement based on the advice of Provincial Council Attorney U.R. De Silva. Immediately after he was informed of the incident in October, he issued a written notice to all parties, including the Health Ministry Secretary and Director General of Health Services, to suspend payments to the supplier. He submitted these notices as evidence to the CID today. Once the payments were suspended, the supplier sent a threat letter to the minister. That was submitted to the CID as well. But there is no evidence confirming that the minister is involved in this incident as of yet. He is a complainant. We also submitted video footage of how the minister questions the officials over how this supplier was handed over this tender and about the procedure. That is when he filed a complaint with the CID over the issue. Today's statement was a voluntary move for the people to understand the minister's connection to the incident.
සිද්ධියට තියෙන සම්බන්ධය කුමක්ද කියන රටේ ජනතාවට පැහැදිලි වෙන්න නිසා තමයි අද දවසේදී ස්වේච්ඡාවෙන් CID එකට මේ පරීක්ෂණ මේ වැඩිදුර ප්‍රකාශය කරේ.
The National Dengue Control Unit said the number of dengue cases reported daily from Sri Lanka has increased to 335 in the past month. 8,728 dengue cases have been reported in the past 25 days.
A total of 85,216 dengue cases have been reported so far in 2023. The highest number of patients, 38,986, were reported from the Western Province. The National Dengue Control Unit says patients are also reported from the Northern and Eastern Provinces as well as from the Kandy Municipal Council area.
If fever persists for more than 2 days, please visit a government hospital and see a government doctor for treatment. Do not stay at home and take paracetamol or other medicine without seeking proper medical advice. If the patient is brought to hospital as soon as possible, we will be able to treat them and save their lives.
An 11-month-old baby died from dengue in Jaffna. Director of the Jaffna Hospital, Dr. T. Satyamurthy said the baby, who was residing in Kondawali in Jaffna, was hospitalized on the 22nd of December due to illness. Dr. T. Satyamurthy said a 26-year-old girl who was receiving treatment in the intensive care unit of the Jaffna Hospital as a suspected dengue patient has also died. On the 19th of December, the girl was admitted to the Telipalai Hospital as a suspected dengue case, and 2 days later, on the 22nd, she was admitted to the ICU of the Jaffna Hospital. She died a day later on the 23rd of December. The Ministry of Health said the Jaffna Hospital was informed to provide a full report regarding this incident. Director General of Health Services Dr. Aselaguna said he will take necessary measures as soon as he receives the report.
Minister of Public Security Sirasa says that those involved in drug trafficking rings and organized crimes in Sri Lanka from overseas will be arrested and extradited. He made this statement during an event in Kirindewala last night.
The Kirindewala Family Education and Trade Fair and Carnival was held yesterday under the auspices of Minister of Public Security Sirasa. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga and other MPs from the SLPP also attended the event.
වැඩසටහන නතර කරන්න යනවා කියලා අදහසක් රට ඇතුලේ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
මේ යුක්තිය වැඩසටහනට බාධා කරන අය තමයි එහෙම කියන්නේ. මේක කවදාවත් නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ. එන මාසය තුල කොහොම හරි මේ රටේ මේ ප්‍රශ්නය ඉවර කරනකම් මේක කරගෙන යනවා. කවුරු බාධා කෙරුවත් මොන බලවතා බාධා කෙරුවත් මම ඒකට ඉඩ තියන්නේ නැහැ.
ඒකම තව චෝදනාවක් තියෙනවා ඩුබායි වලින් ඉඳන් තමයි මේක මෙහෙවන්නේ. හැබැයි ඒක ඒගොල්ලන්ව අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න කිසිම වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ආණ්ඩුවට නැහැ කියලා.
ඒ දන්නේ නැති අයනේ. මේවා ගැන කිසිම දෙයක් දන්නේ නැති අය තමයි ඒවා කියන්නේ. ඩුබායි වල ඉඳන් අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්න අපි උසාවි වලට ගිහිල්ලා රෙඩ් නෝටිස් අරන් ඒ රජයත් සමග විශාල සාකච්ඡා ප්‍රමාණයක් කරලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් ඒ රටවල් වල ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නීතිය අනුව සමහර වෙලාවට මේ එහෙම ගෙන්න ගන්න වෙලා යනවා. ඒ දේ අපි දිගටම කරගෙන යනවා. ඩුබායි විතර නෙමෙයි අනිත් රටවල්. උදාහරණයකට මේ ප්‍රංශෙත් එක්කෙනෙක් ගෙන්න ගන්න අපි මේ දවස්වල වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා.
ඔබතුමාට සාතික වෙන්න පුළුවන් මේ මාස 6 ඇතුළත රටේ පාතාලයේ සහ කුඩු නැති කරනවා.
100% නැති කරනවාද කියන එක මට කියන්න බෑ. නමුත් අනිවාර්යෙන් ලොකු වෙනසක් කරනවා. මම හිතන්නේ මේ ලෝකේ එකම රටකවත් 100% නැති කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. නමුත් මම මේ ඇමතිකමේ ඉන්නකම් පාතාලෙටයි ඔය මද්ද්‍රව්‍ය ආයතනයි අපි ගහලා ඉවර කරනවා. ඒක සාතික වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
In more headline-making news, MP Ashok Abesinghe claimed that several members of the SLPP are preparing to join the opposition. He was speaking at a press conference held today.
If 12 MPs of the government join the opposition, the government will lose its majority. We heard that Parliament will reconvene on the 9th of January and several SLPP MPs of the government will sit in the opposition then. If so, the government will lose its majority. When the government loses its majority, the president has two options. One is to invite the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, which received the second highest number of votes at the last election, to establish a government or to call an election. Even if the government loses the majority, it should be defeated through a Finance Act in Parliament. I cannot say what will happen next year. Regardless of which election will be held, whether it is the presidential election or the general election, the Samagi Jana Sandhana will emerge victorious. The alliance led by the SJB is the single party to receive nearly 3 million votes at the last election. Minority parties who are with the SJB, including the Tamil and Muslim parties, are part of it. Additionally, several parties representing Parliament are holding talks with us. Over 25 parties and organizations that are not representing Parliament are also looking to join the Samagi Jana Alliance.
Speaking at a press conference today, Minister Mervyn Silva said that the next government they form will punish the corrupt politicians.
I am telling Kehelia Rambukwella that if this government cannot arrest you, the first thing that the government we form in the next 6 months will do is take these to the Supreme Court. I have a full list. There is no chance for anyone. You will be sent to Mannar. You will have to stay till the trial in Mannar without even air condition. The prices of the goods are very high. People cannot afford food. People have no way to live. Everyone is helpless. Children are addicted to drugs. Tiranalas commenced a good program to investigate into these personally. I fully support this. But if these are just going to be just a frenzy, then that's useless. I know that Tiranalas is a very talented minister who will get the job done. Also, I personally know the acting Inspector General Police since my time in Paliagoda. Something will be done. But if it doesn't go well, then they should be ashamed.
පොලිස්පතිවරයා මම පුජ්‍යලකව දන්නවා පෑලිවර ඉන්න කාලේදලා යමක් කරන්න පුළුවන් යමක් කරයි හැබැයි මේක හරියට වෙන්නේ නැත්නම් එදාට කෝඩ් ගලවලා අමුඩියන් නැතුව තමයි යන්න වෙන්නේ ඒ අවවාදයක් මම දෙනවා මේ උදවියට
News First with the people.
Date 26th December 2004, 6:58 a.m. Location: deep seas close to northern Sumatra, Indonesia. A massive 9.1 magnitude earthquake. On the morning of 26th December 2004, while many were resting after Christmas, a massive undersea earthquake measuring 9.1 on the Richter scale triggered a tsunami that charged across the Indian Ocean. Moments later, Newsfirst was informed that tremors were experienced across multiple locations. Thereafter, information was received noting that ocean water flooded the coastal areas of Trincomalee 2 hours after the earthquake. At exactly 9:26 a.m., the tsunami struck Sri Lanka at a speed of 800 kilometers per hour. This was the largest natural disaster experienced in Sri Lankan history. Across 14 countries in the Asian region, a total of 227,898 people lost their lives, and in Sri Lanka, approximately 35,000 people died. The tsunami washed away a packed commuter train in Paralia, claiming the lives of 1,200 people, which will go down in history as the world's worst ever train disaster. 141 people are still unaccounted for. Understanding the gravity of the disaster, Newsfirst went beyond the score of simply reporting on the tsunami, and the Capital Maharaja Group launched a series of programs on several avenues. The lineup of the live program that was launched brings back the memories. While delivering verified information to the public, Newsfirst also launched a program to support the families of the victims to recover. The Sahana Yatra was launched to support our fellow Sri Lankans who were left with nothing except for what they were wearing on that day. United as one, Sri Lankans started to recover from the 2004 tsunami tragedy. 18 years later, we remember the victims of this disaster, praying that such an event does not take place in Sri Lanka ever again. Let us rise together with the lessons that we learned from the tsunami disaster, as this would be the highest honor that we can bestow on our fellow countrymen and women who died under tragic circumstances. Let's rise together.
National Safety Day was commemorated today in remembrance of all those who lost their lives in the 2004 tsunami. 2-minute silence was observed at 9:25 a.m. today in memory of those who lost their lives in the 2004 disaster and countless other calamities. The commemoration event organized by the Disaster Management Center of the Colombo district was held at the district secretariat today. Books and school equipment were also presented to school students. The train with the engine that was damaged in the 2004 tsunami 19 years ago also began its journey towards Peralia this morning. 1,270 passengers lost their lives when train number 50, which left Colombo on December 26, 2004, was hit by a tsunami wave near Peralia. 141 passengers were reported missing and hundreds were injured. A group including the relatives of those who lost their lives in the tragedy 19 years ago were on the train that left from Colombo to Peralia today. An event was held at the Tsunami Memorial in remembrance of those who lost their lives with their relatives and many others in attendance. In collaboration with the Sirasa Namami program, a memorial was held for the victims of the tsunami at the Matale Aluvihare.
Idangvo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo.
The foundation stone was laid in honor of those who lost their lives owing to the tsunami in a memorial held in the Hambantota Beach Park. A religious ceremony was organized in the Akmimana Kurunduwatta burial grounds where 1,500 remains of the tsunami victims were laid to rest. The relatives of the tsunami victims laid floral tributes to their loved ones at the Tsunami Memorial in Thotumana, Matara.
අපි එනකම්ම දන්නේ නැහැ වතුර මගේ යතේ අවුරුදු 4යි මාස 3යි දරුවෝ හිටි මමයි මහත්තයයි දරුවයි කොහෙ ගියද දන්නේ
30 ගානක් අපේ පවුල් දෙකේ මගේ මහත්තයගේ නැති වුණා. අපේ ළමයි කොයි අත ගියාද කියලා මතක නැහැ. මම දූගේ අතින් අල්ලන් හිටියේ. ඒ මගේ අතින් අතේරට ගහගෙන ගියා. පොඩි තින් ඉඩෝටි කියන්න බෑ.
හොදන්න ගිනේ කොරු බෝටු පාවෙල යනවා කට්ටියත් එක්කම. මං දූල දෙන්නත් වඩාගෙන දිව්වා. දූල තාප්පයක් උඩින් පැනලා තාප්පෙන් දරුවෝ අරන් එහා පැත්තට නෝනත්තරම් බහිනකොට තමයි තාප්පේ කඩාගෙන වතුර පාර ආවේ. ඊට පස්සේ මට මතක මං උණු පඳුරක ගිහිල්ලා රැඳිලා දරුවෝ බඳාගෙන දරු පැටවුන්ගේ අඳවනාව තාමත් මතක් වෙනවා. ඒ මතක් වෙන මොහොතක් ගානේ මග කිලිපොලා යනවා. ඒ වගේ අවාසනාවන්ත විපතක් සංසාරේ කිසිම මිනිසෙකුට රත් වෙන්න එපායි කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
Memorials were also held in the north and east in the remembrance of the people who lost their lives in the tsunami. Another program was also organized opposite the Mullaitivu Tsunami Memorial to remember the victims. A memorial was held in the Jaffna Divisional Secretariat in honor of the tsunami victims. This was a program held in Kilinochchi today. A memorial was also held in the Karumari Amman Temple in Vaunia.
After the 2004 tsunami, Sri Lanka built warning towers across the coast. But 19 years later, the question remains, are they ready for the next wave? Here's a Newsfirst report on this.
Sri Lanka established its coast with 77 tsunami watchtowers built with guidance from American Signal Corporation. These towers sound the alarm if trouble's brewing underwater, giving locals precious time to reach safety.
Attention please, a strong earthquake has occurred. A possibility of a tsunami exists. Wait for further instructions.
In the Galle district, 8 tsunami warning towers were constructed. However, only 2 of them are currently in operation. Parents at Shariputra Vidyalaya are worried after finding their local tsunami tower in Ahangama is broken. The remote does not work and they fear it could even collapse near the school. Even with 9 towers built, only one stands guard in Hambantota. Shockingly, even the district secretary wasn't aware until Newsfirst exposed the issue during an inquiry. The district secretary said the Disaster Management Centre claim this is common across Sri Lanka. All tsunami warning towers in Matara are non-operational. According to an inquiry made by BBC Sinhala from the Disaster Management Centre under the Freedom of Information Act regarding the tsunami warning towers in the country, across Sri Lanka, a shocking 57 of 77 towers are out of action. While 11 towers can be triggered remotely, 9 rely on manual activation, putting lives at risk. As the technology related to these towers are outdated, the company that supported in building them has stopped the production of the equipment. Accordingly, the Disaster Management Centre is preparing to introduce a new program together with mobile and landline phone service providers.
These, which were constructed many years ago and were supposed to issue warnings, however, the technology is now outdated. 60,000 mobile and landlines have been identified and arrangements have been made to issue early warning signals.
News First with the people.
Sri Lanka's ancient forests and religious sites are facing destruction at the hands of illegal logging and lodging and treasure hunters. It was on the 6th of December that Action TV exposed that a forest destruction similar to what took place at the Vilpattu National Park was taking place in the Sengamo Forest Reservation in Pothuwil. This was in a backdrop where an organized group had taken control of over 300 hectares of land after clearing up the forest reservation, and the Ampara Land Utilization Committee recommending the President's office that these lands can be distributed among the people. While massive deforestation is taking place within the Sengamo Forest Reservation, there is also an attempt taking place to destroy the remnants of ancient Buddhist history located deep within the Randella Forest Reservation, which is also located in Pothuwil. These are ancient walls. These walls have been destroyed. You can see the human activity taking place here, as there is evidence that someone had plastered this wall with cement. Not a single official is looking into this. Excavations have also taken place in archaeological sites designated via a gazette notification. It has been raided by the treasure hunters as well. There's absolutely no point in declaring these zones via gazette when names are written on these historic sites. There is a stone inscription here as well. These are not just caves, but facilities used in ancient times, and carving out the ground bear witness to this. A stupa that used to be on top of this rock is now destroyed, while another stupa located on top of another rock was also destroyed. During a recent renovation, the spill gate of the Randella River was also destroyed. There's also evidence to claim that a stupa located on one end of the Randella River was also destroyed during the process. An archaeological zone office was established in Lahugala for the sole purpose of identifying the sites of archaeological importance and preserving those sites. However, that office has completely ignored the existence of the Randella Forest Reservation. The Chaitya is witness to the amnesia-like symptoms that also affected the Department of Archaeology when it comes to the preservation of historic structures. This land, located in Mihintale, is considered as the sacred grounds where the Bhikkhu Sasana commenced in Sri Lanka. It was just over 2 years ago that excavations commenced at this site with the participation of the subject minister. Artifacts that were unearthed during the excavation process was taken into custody by the Department of Archaeology. One of the key aspects in conducting an excavation is to ensure that preservation also takes place. However, does that mean authorities should simply allow these historic sites to turn to dust? Minister of Cultural Affairs, this is over to you.
Sri Lankan Airlines took to X to announce the addition of another aircraft to its fleet. Sri Lankan Airlines announced the addition of a new Airbus A330-200 aircraft to its fleet through a wet lease agreement with Air Belgium. The aircraft, configured with 22 business class and 240 economy class seats, will commence operations on key routes to Europe and Asia starting the 29th of December 2023. The leased A330-200 will bolster Sri Lankan Airlines capacity and network connectivity, specifically targeting the popular routes to Frankfurt, Dhaka and Dubai. Today is Unduap Poya Day, the last full moon Poya Day of the year. The Unduap full moon Poya Day commemorates the arrival of Sangamita Theri to Sri Lanka with a bow sapling from the sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi in India during the month of Unduap. Today also marks the start of the Sri Pada pilgrimage season.
Buddhist scriptures bear evidence that many events of great importance in Sri Lankan history took place on a day like today. Honoring a request made by King Devanampiya Tissa, on a day like today, King Dharmashoka sent a delegation of Buddhist priests to Sri Lanka led by his daughter Sangamita Theri along with the southern branch of the Jayashree Mahabodhi. This laid the foundation for an island-wide Buddhist revolution. 500 women, including Lady Anula, entered the Buddhist clergy by becoming bhikkhunis, thus paving the way for women to be a part of the Buddhist clergy. Many devotees from across the country engaged in many religious activities in line with the Unduap full moon Poya Day. Buddhist scriptures bear evidence that many events of great importance in Sri Lankan history took place on a day like today. Honoring a request made by King Devanampiya Tissa, on a day like today, King Dharmashoka sent a delegation of Buddhist priests to Sri Lanka led by his daughter Sangamita Theri along with the southern branch of the Jayashree Mahabodhi. This laid the foundation for an island-wide Buddhist revolution. 500 women, including Lady Anula, entered the Buddhist clergy by becoming bhikkhunis, thus paving the way for women to be a part of the Buddhist clergy. Many devotees from across the country engaged in many religious activities in line with the Unduap full moon Poya Day. The Sirasa Namami program in line with the Unduap full moon Poya Day was held at the Mathale Aluvihare. The event commenced after observing the 8 precepts. The Poya Day sermon was conducted by Venerable Professor Padalangala Dhammadeva Thero. Many events were held focusing on historical events such as converting the Tripitaka into text. Sita Dhamma Katikavata, which is conducted for the benefit of the youth, Satpiyum program, which is unique to the Buddhist heritage of Mathale, were also held today. Sirasa Namami programs were also held across the country on every Poya Day throughout the year. The Gammata Damsaviya Poya programs is being held centering the Malwatu Hiripitiya Maligathana Rajamaha Viharaya in Gampaha. Venerable Susima Thero conducted the seal program this morning, while a special Dhamma discussion was also presided by the Gampaha Sumedha Meheniya. A special Dhamma discussion was also presided by the Gampaha Sumedha Meheniya. Meanwhile, a special Dhamma discussion was also held at the temple this afternoon. Meanwhile, the Sambuddha Puja of the Sri Shakya Malakya was also carried out by the staff of Stein Studios at the headquarters of the Capital Maharaja Group.
The annual Sri Pada pilgrimage season began today. The process to place the Sadhatuka relic in the statue of Lord Saman at the Sri Pada temple commenced from the Galpottavela Rajamahavihare in Palmadulla. At the auspicious time, the sacred relic and the statue were placed at Sri Pada. Religious activities began thereafter.
Vadinne Suddha Saman Deviyoya Vadinne
Do not conduct your pilgrimage in a way that would cause injustice. Do not pollute the environment. Be kind to animals and be considerate towards our water bodies. You will then understand that you are a human and not an animal. So engage in your worship cautiously and considerately.
The Central Environment Authority said that strict action will be taken against those who negligently litter the sacred grounds. Director of the Central Environment Authority, Sarojini Jayasekara, said that they will frequently monitor the situation.
A plane carrying hundreds of Indian nationals who were held for days at an airport in France over human trafficking fears has arrived in India.
The chartered Airbus A340, which had been flying from the United Arab Emirates to Nicaragua, aroused suspicion during a refueling stop. It left with 276 passengers, but 25 people, including 2 minors, remained in France after applying for asylum. 2 suspected traffickers also remain in France for further investigation. However, the 2 were set free by the courts. The Legend Airlines flight landed in Mumbai early on Tuesday local time. The plane had initially been prevented from leaving an airport about 130 kilometers from Paris on Thursday after authorities received an anonymous tip-off that some passengers might be victims of human trafficking. French authorities reportedly also suspected that the people on board might have been traveling to Nicaragua before attempting to enter the US or Canada. According to reports, it was not clear whether authorities had definitively determined that no crime had been committed before allowing the plane to leave.
Russia has confirmed that one of its warships has been damaged in the Black Sea during an attack by Ukraine.
The strike took place in the port of Feodosia in Russian-occupied Crimea overnight on Monday. The Minister of Defense said the large landing ship Novosibirsk was struck by Ukrainian aircraft carrying guided missiles. Earlier, the head of the Ukrainian Air Force said its warplanes had destroyed the ship. According to the Russian installed head of Crimea, Sergei Aksanov, 1 person was killed in the attack. He added that 6 buildings were damaged and that a small number of people had to be taken to temporary accommodation centers. The port's transport operations are said to be functioning as normal after the area was cordoned off while a fire caused by the attack was contained. Footage has emerged on social media purportedly showing a huge explosion in the port area.
Denmark's Maersk is preparing to resume shipping operations in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden, inciting deployment of a US-led military operation designed to ensure the safety of commerce in the area.
The shipping giant paused sending vessels through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait earlier in December due to attacks against its ships. That rendered the Suez Canal, which is key to global commerce, unusable for most routes. The United States said it was launching a multinational operation to protect commerce in the Red Sea from Iran-backed Yemeni militants who have been firing drones and missiles at international vessels since last month in what they say is a response to Israel's war in Gaza. Maersk said in a statement, quote, "As of Sunday, the 24th of December 2023, we have received confirmation that the previously announced multinational security initiative Operation Prosperity Guardian has been set up and deployed to allow maritime commerce to pass through the Red Sea or Gulf of Aden and once again return to using the Suez Canal as a gateway between Asia and Europe."
I've had this idea for a few years now to go on a quest to try and discover who he was.
Why did you have to go for something like this?
I want them to see this film and say, oh my God, this country is beautiful.
Was there a motive behind this whole documentary to promote tourism?
It was an unintended consequence, I'd say, Marian. So when I started this film, I had an idea of a story. But when I ended it, I had a whole different understanding of who he was.
20 years later, we are still finding every opportunity to honor the genius of the place.
Newsfirst exclusive with writer and director of The Genius of the Place of the Laziz. 5th of January 2024 from 9:30 p.m. onwards on TV1. Streaming live on Newsfirst YouTube and Facebook channels.
And with that, wrap up Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.